Freedom ring, let freedom ring, oh ring, from the hills to the valleys, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, from the hills to the valleys, freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring. Every valley shall be exalted. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom. Every hill shall be made ring. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. From the hills to the valleys, freedom ring. Let freedom ring, 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 let freedom ring. All flesh shall sing together. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. From the hills to the valleys, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. From the hills to the valleys, freedom ring, let 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 freedom
All right, well, welcome everyone to the statewide fourth Wednesday meeting. I'm your convener, Reverend Monica Cross. Welcome. Uh, this is a place where you can find hope and healing and uh, particularly hope. I'll just stop right there. So the theme is we're looking at is Juneteenth. Juneteenth was it's about the formerly enslaved finding out that hey, in Texas, that they were free. The slaves found out they were free, and it has been the same since. So while it is important to celebrate Juneteenth, it's equally important to understand the deeper meaning of what the end of slavery truly represented and the struggle that continued long after emancipation. Freedom not immediately bring justice, equality, or full citizenship for formerly enslaved people. Even today, even today, we witness ongoing efforts that threaten hard-won rights and freedoms, reminding us that democracy and equality must constantly be defended and strengthened. Unfortunately, there's no time to rest. We have to always be vigilant to ensure the rights of the working class, the dispossessed, and those here on this call are fully embraced. As we see now, if we're not diligent in this effort, bad things can happen. Now, during the 1960s, more than a century after enslaved people were declared free, the civil rights movement brought renewed national attention to the unfinished work of liberation. In many ways, the urgency of that movement overshadowed Juneteenth celebrations as advocates, faith leaders, and organizers like ourselves fought courageously for equal rights under the law. The passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 marked a historic victory, helping to protect the voting rights of Black people, women, poor communities, and others who had long been denied full participation in democracy. Today, the struggle for voting rights continues in new and evolving forms. Communities impacted by poverty, homelessness, racism, disability, language barriers, and mass incarceration are still too often pushed to the margins of political life. The California Poor People's Campaign recognizes that voting rights are moral rights and that democracy is stronger when every voice is valued and every community has equitable access to participate. Through voter education, outreach efforts, ballot breakdown gatherings, and statewide trainings like now, we continue the work of empowering people to engage in the democratic process with knowledge, courage, and hope. As we celebrate Juneteenth, we are called not only to remember freedom, but to protect and expand it for future generations. In these increasingly authoritarian times, we're reminded that freedom has always been connected to political power and the sacred right to participate fully in democracy. So, as we go through this meeting this night, since my laptop decided to die on me, let us go through it knowing that this training, this statewide meeting, is about strengthening our vigilance so that democracy, as threatened as it is, will continue to go forth. This is not a sermon. So anyway, let us move forward. And I don't have the program in front of me, so I don't know who's next. Nancy, do you have the program in front of you?
Yeah, that would be me.
Okay,
So
thank
now
you.
I'm going to repeat or the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, has goals. And those goals are to amplify poor people, those most impacted by poverty, racism, ecological devastation, militarism, or the military economy, white Christian nationalism that blames poor people for being poor and claims there's not enough to go around, and also to build power to change policy. We have a focus. Our focus is on Congress, the courts, and the state house. We have also several fundamental principles, of which I'm reading two right now. The first fundamental principle is we are rooted in a moral analysis based on our deepest religious and constitutional values that demand justice for all. Moral revival is necessary to save the heart and soul of our democracy. The second one I'm reading is fundamental principle number 5. We believe that people should not live. Somebody else speaking. Let me start again. We believe that people should not live or die from poverty in the richest nation ever to exist. Blaming the poor and claiming that the United States does not have an abundance of resources to overcome poverty are false narratives used to perpetuate economic exploitation, exclusion, and deep inequality. Thank you.
I I believe I'm next.
Yes, you are.
And we are talking about Juneteenth as it's coming up on June 19th. Um, let's start at the beginning. Number one, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to delve into this history as it pertains to Juneteenth voting rights and slavery. Personally, for me, it's a day to be spent honoring, celebrating, and educating everyone in regard to African American survival, culture, and progress. This evening's meeting encourages a deeper look into the complexities of American history, including the systemic inequalities that persist today. I believe the more we know about our history, both good and bad, the better society we can continue to build. To begin with, it's important to distinguish between indentured servitude and slavery because racism is at the root of the difference. Indentured servants were laborers bound by a temporary legal contract. They exchanged their labor for a set amount of time, usually 3 to 7 years, to cover travel expenses and debt. Conversely, slaves were legally categorized as personal property, subjected to forced labor for life, and their status was permanently inherited by their children, locking subsequent generations into forced servitude. Historically, um, historically, America relied heavily on indentured European labor during the 1600s. Over time, as indentured servants completed their contracts and demanded land and independence, the colonial elite transitioned almost exclusively to the hereditary enslavement of African people, which provided a permanent and self renewing, racially based labor force. Juneteenth is the combination of the words June and 19th. It was January in 1863 that President Lincoln put out the Emancipation Proclamation. It wasn't until 2 years later, on June 19th, 1865, that the delayed enforcement began. The Voting Rights Act, you can go to the next slide. And that's why we say Juneteenth is not Emancipation Day. Because it took two whole years for the word to even get spread. And when that information was released, it was released in Texas. Next slide. See, so we go back to the Emancipation Proclamation issued on January 1st, 1863. Next slide. But it was under General Gordon Granger, was announced in Galveston, Texas, 2 years afterwards. Next slide. For those who were largely isolated from the Union armies, um, nothing changed. They were treated like slaves. Um, they were slaves, and they were not told of the Declaration of Freedom that President Lincoln had signed. So that's when 2 years later in Texas, Major General Gordon Granger and the Union Army troops marched to Galveston, Texas to enforce. And they freed over 250,000 Black Americans, the last enslaved people in Texas. Next slide. Next slide. I think I've already covered that part. Next slide. These are just. Okay, so then Juneteenth became a national holiday. E- Okay, keep in mind it was it was delayed until 1865. It was not a national holiday until the year 2021, and it was declared a national holiday by President Joe Biden. Think about that. 1863 all the way through 2021 before we could declare it a national holiday. Um, so for a lot of us, it's our entire lives, the majority of our lives, that if we were descendants of slaves, and I am, um, that it wasn't even celebrated in our country. It was this year, 2026, that the current administration reversed free, free federal park entrance, which is a perk allowed of national holidays. You can no longer get into national parks, free federal park entrance on either Martin Luther King Jr. Day or Juneteenth. So the current administration has struck that privilege. And here we are in 2026, still fighting for the very same rights. Modern day politics now involves gerrymandering, which means that politicians are picking their constituents instead of constituents picking their elected officials. That generally leads to taxation without representation, which is a whole different wormhole to climb through. Um, but that's where we are. So that's why it's more important, in my humble opinion, that we celebrate Juneteenth, lest we forget how recently and how far we've come. Those who fail to acknowledge the history are destined to repeat it. As a person who is a descendant of Tennessee slaves on my birth father's side, I celebrate Juneteenth, but also worry that our country's moving backwards in regard to racism, sexism, and separation of the haves versus the have nots. So that brings us to next slide. We will celebrate with parades, barbecues, storytelling, and spreading the word about all of the good that different nationalities, African Americans, Oriental people, the diversity of our country, which makes us such a wonderful country. And if we stop celebrating it, then we actually are reverting back to, in my opinion, um, the old days. So, next slide. Is there another slide? I don't think so. Yeah, and this one is important. Juneteenth serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience and strength of the African American community, and its celebration is a testament to the ongoing fight for equality and justice. And that is so, so very vital in the times we find ourselves living in right now. Thanks. Next.
Rev Monica, do you want to introduce Wanda Kenoi?
Did I hear my name?
You did.
You did. I was asking Monica if she wanted to introduce you as our testifier tonight.
do. I do. My tech is terrible today. Anyway, so I want to introduce to you Wanda. She is my good friend, colleague, and I've been blessed to know Wanda. I first met Wanda because she is taking care of Emma. Some of you might know Emma. Emma has CP cerebral palsy, and I am so impressed that Wanda is blessed with the skills to really not just be a caregiver for Emma, but to be a friend and a sister, and to bring life into a difficult situation. And everybody can't bring life, that's not everybody can do, but Wanda does. And I've been so blessed to be in her presence. Recently, she came out to a church function, and I was so blessed to see her and Emma there. I hadn't seen Emma out in a while. So it just shows the power of love that Wanda has. And so Wanda has been through her own journey. And so I invited Wanda to say a few words at this meeting tonight to really show us and express where she is. So I want to introduce to you and yeah. So here's Wanda.
Mhm. Thank you, Rev. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Very well,
Um,
thank
Reverend Monica uh, had asked me to speak about why voting is important to me. So I'm going to take about 3 minutes of your time. I grew up here in East Oakland. Can you guys see me? Because I only see my face, and I don't like seeing my face.
Yes, we see you.
Yeah, we see you.
You guys can? Okay.
You are spotlighted, by the way. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We want to see your face, okay? You have important things to say.
Okay. And so I grew up in East Oakland. My mom grew up in a little town called Wildsville, Louisiana, which is in Catahoula Parish. I guess the nearest city that people would be familiar with is probably Alexandria. So as a child, every year we had to go to Louisiana for vacation, and my mom wanted us to be able to relate to where she came from, because growing up I would hear her say, not bad for a poor black girl that came from the South, and I never knew what that meant. Um, so I recall visiting there. My my grandfather, her father, had about maybe 200 acres, and he had sheep and cattle and so forth and so on. And so they grew up in a little shotgun house in the middle of the field, 8 of them. My grandfather, when I was a teenager, he used to always say, "Gal, are you gonna vote? You gonna vote, gal?" And I was like, uh, "I'm only 14. Yeah, I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote." Well, my grandfather died when I was 18, and I was told every single year vacation time, he would always bug me about voting. And I wonder, like, wow, what is it? What is it with this guy and the voting? But I was told that my grandfather in the 50s was on his way to register to vote. And there was a group of 7 white men, and they caught my grandfather and they were going to hang him. They were going to lynch him. And along came um, a gentleman that knew my grandfather, and he said, told them to, you know, leave my grandfather alone. He had my grandfather go sit in the car and he took him home. But so that was just really deep to me because I was like, it dawned on me. So this, because of where he came from, it was very important to him as a Black man to vote. And so every year since I was 18 years of age, I voted. I taught my son, Reggie, who's now 36, I taught him about voting. And it all ties in to what's going on with this current administration. And I'm very grateful for Reverend Monica, Dr. Kim, Miss Ethel. I'm very grateful for the women and also the men and the people that I've met being involved um, with the Poor People's Campaign because it has given me a reason to fight, a reason like the term woke, I get it because it wakes you up and it's like, whoa, damn, all this is happening. And I have to get involved and I have to be involved, especially with this current administration. And I won't just say the administration because it's a system. It's a system. If Donald Trump died today, and I wish he would, no, I'm just serious. Um, then we would still have this system in place. We would still have to fight. We would still have to vote. We would still have to do whatever we have to do to galvanize ourselves and to move forward as a people. And I mean blacks, whites, Latinos, we have to move together as a people and we have to galvanize. And so I am going to go out this year and celebrate Juneteenth along with other friends. But yeah, so I'm reminded, you know, gotta vote, gotta vote, gotta do whatever's necessary to move forward. Thank you.
Uh, so Wanda, you reminded me of the importance of passing down the importance of voting from generation to generation to generation. Now, I'm mindful that there are those who pass down wealth from generation to generation to generation to make sure they're always on top of stuff. You remind me of that. But at the same time, the importance of passing down this idea that we've got to vote. My parents did the same thing. But I don't want to take up too much time. But I thank you for your life and the importance of passing down that narrative to your son, to generation to generation. Yeah. There was somebody else who wanted to chime in.
I,
I'm on my phone,
I
so I
would,
can't see.
I think Ted was going to take that part on.
Okay. Go ahead, Ted.
Okay, so uh was Michelle gonna testify?
No, no.
No.
Okay.
But you're on
All
now.
right. All right. So I am reading in the chats, and if anybody have any thing that they want to say in the chat, or anybody want to talk about Wanda's journey, because see, y'all was asleep on Miss Wanda because she mentioned the shotgun houses, and y'all don't know nothing about the shotgun houses. That's what I'm talking about. So my grandmother lived in a shotgun house in Memphis, Tennessee, and my auntie lived in a shotgun house in Vicksburg, Mississippi. And so for y'all who sleep on what a shotgun house is, it's a house that's built straight back, nothing on the side, just straight back. And if you shoot a shotgun through the front door, it'll come out the back. That's what a shotgun house is. You brought me back, Miss Wanda. So you know, it's a shame that when your great grandmother and grandmother and mother used to talk to you about how they overcame and what they had to go through in order to vote. And then they historically talk about how uh, that they passed the 13th Amendment to free the slaves, and the 14th Amendment, which is citizens' rights, and the 15th Amendment was voting rights. And then after those was passed in the 1800s, 1865, 1868, and 1870, people went against what the government had passed. And even though that was called the Reconstruction, they deconstructed that era and rolled back all the gains that happened. And then Jim Crow came. And so the second Reconstruction is with Martin Luther King with the Voting Rights Act of 1960, the 65, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Less than 100 years later, we have to repeat the same thing. And now, more than 60 years later, we're fighting against the same thing that we got passed 60 years ago. And with the uh, the weakening of the Voting Rights Act, with the current decision, uh, even more watered down the Voting Rights Act from Shelby versus Holder in the 5-4 decision. So Section 2 and Section 4, which is our protections for race and districting, are now gone. And now the Supreme Court still hasn't talked about the 14th Amendment, which is birthright citizenship. So we're going backwards, but like Ms. Wanda said, we can't forget about our grandparents and parents that told us it's important to vote, and it's important to get out there and talk to people, and it's good to get out there and be able to tell people, what's going on, because they didn't have technology or money or anything else 100 years ago, 60 years ago. They just have the will to not give up and pass it on to the next generation. And that's what Miss Wanda was talking about on what we need to do. We despair is not an option. And 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 a lot of people need to understand that when they come after the DEI and the Voting Rights Act and birthright citizenship, they just not coming after black folks. They coming off of everybody who benefited under that, which is the Latino, the Asians, LGBTQ, everyone, and they want to roll it back. And and so we have to be able to understand that this is our fight, and this is our time in history that we have to come together, because if we don't, then we have nothing to pass down to the next generation. Does anybody have any comments about that? I'm taking some people in the chat. Anybody who want to say a little bit about that, about their journey and their experience?
Don't be shy, folks. This is a friendly audience.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Arlene. Hey, Wanda, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm listening. I just popped in and I'm listening to this voting right. I was on the edge of my seat when uh it was being heard in Louisiana. I was waiting for the outcome. And when I look at what's going on, not only with the voting right, but the fact that we the distraction is coming because they're attacking us from multiple sides.
Mhm.
It's not just one thing. And so people are just trying to survive nowadays. You look at HR 1 that just passed, right? You look at HUD, what's going on with HUD, and the decisions and the executive orders that are going on with how many people in their housing being under attack. In-home supportive services, Social Security offices being cut, and I think they're talking about or they are calling Social Security federal benefits, and so it's like so many different uh, coming at us from so many different ways that people are just trying to survive in the moment that we're in. And so they're making this movement with voting right and chipping away, not just voting right. You look at, Roe versus Wade, you look at reproductive rights, you look at all of the things that they affirmative action that they are marching back. And we really have to we're focusing on voting right, but look how many people are being uh are without homes. And look how many people are without food. And so, like, if your basic needs are not being met, it's hard to kind of redirect yourself to voting rights. And I'm not saying it to be, be dismissive, but the reality of it is if it's you or your kids, especially here in California, the largest population of people who are becoming unhoused are seniors. And so, when you think about that, look at the price of gas. In some place, $7 a gallon. You can't even go to work. You can't handle your business. And so, as we're talking about the voting right, I'm just never mind AI. We're not even going to go in that direction. And the fact that I was just reading about property management, right? Property management, they're having a conference to replace people so that property management is run strictly by AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that's just one particular arena, never mind the data centers that they're trying to place everywhere.
Oh, girl, you preaching, ain't you?
Yeah, I really am.
Woo!
And so when you look at all of these things, this storm that's going on all around us, how many and never mind the government cuts to philanthropy, DEI, so the funding that was focused on helping people have become extremely political. And the politics is driving what is going on with the mutual aid that was occurring previously. Now, all of that is being marched back as well as the voting right. But anyway, I could go on and on, but I just really wanted to get that off my chest because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the voting right. But thank you for listening to me, guys.
Thank you so much, boy. I'm glad you opened up because you just went down the shopping list of everything that's going on, and there's an intersectionality of it all that it affects everyone, and no one is not going to be affected.
No one is immune, and you keep watching privatization. You could keep looking at real estate investment trusts. You keep looking at private equity and where they're making their investments at. Their investments is more and more extraction from our basic needs. And who are the billionaires are profiting from this.
Hmm.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Robert said, "Don't forget about the Epstein files. All those things are just distractions."
I just want to say thank you. Uh, Thank you for family stories. And I know the basics, right? And I know the history, and yet every time I hear it, there's a little something. There's a little something I didn't remember, and so to be marinated in these stories, to be marinated in the the PowerPoint presentation, and to be reminded of real stories, is really helpful to me. Uh, Inspires hope, right? Keeps me hopeful. Like-minded folks. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much, Miss Tina. Anybody else? We got a couple of more minutes left. And if you didn't hear about HR1, HR1 is in the big beautiful bill that starting June 1st, they're going to implement work requirements of 80 hours a month on people who able-bodied adults from 18 to 64. You're gonna have to do 80 hours of work or 80 hours of community service or anything else, or they're gonna cut
Cut their
you
benefits.
off your SNAP benefits or allow you to have three. And then for single mothers, if you have a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, and a 16-year-old, you will get the waiver for the 14-year-old, but you will have to do the community service or 80 hours for the 15 and 16-year-old. So a lot of things are happening. June 1st is already taking effect in other parts of the United States, but California got a waiver until June 1st. So they're talking about, 4.2 million people who's going to be affected by these new rules and everything else. So we just have to stay on top of that and find ways to go back to the old ways of community, helping each other out, feeding other people. I know in my neighborhood when I was growing up, when somebody didn't have something to eat, my mother made an extra pot of greens and some chicken and took it over to the neighbor's house. And then when we didn't have, the neighbors brought it over. So it's all about getting back to community and caring about other people and everything else. Because they used to give out the free government cheese and that powdered milk when I was growing up, and that helped things subside for a minute. But now we have to be able to find ways because they done cut funding for the food bank and the food pantries and everything else. So, but we gonna find a way. We just have to use our heart and know that we all in this together.
Hey, Pastor Ted,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about the documentary Bad Faith, or do you want us to show the clip?
Yeah. So show the video. So
Okay.
we were 2 years ago. We screened the movie Bad Faith, and it was a documentary about why the current administration and President Trump felt the way he did, and how the Christian nationalists and the evangelical Christians was going to abide by everything that he wanted to do. And so back then, 2 years ago, people wasn't too keen on thinking that we would be in the position that we're in now.
Mm.
But now that we're in the position that we're in now, we hope that more people get involved and learn about the process, because you're never going to be able to understand the process unless you know why, what, when, why, and how that we got to where we are today. So we are going to show a short video about the Bad Faith video that we're getting ready to screen in a couple of weeks.
My one vote doesn't feel like it counts.
Even if I did vote, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Oh, what difference does it make?
And our golden age has just begun.
We don't have to just accept this.
In a country where people don't vote, you don't need a majority to win elections.
This is a fight for America.
The largest coordinated set of protests in American history.
When we unite, we will win!
We have been too quiet for too long.
Oh.
So I know that was a teaser, but did we get we're talking about screening the new Bad Faith that's coming up in the next month or so, and it's important that we understand to get an understanding. In my faith tradition, it says wisdom is the principal thing, and in all they're getting, get an understanding. And we can't be able to understand what's going on to us now until we understand who's behind it and why they're doing what they're doing. So the Bad Faith video it's an updated version, and we need to get not only get people to turn out to watch this video that the Poor People's Campaign will be sponsoring, but we get all the relatives who's on the fence, or people who don't have a vision or have goals and everything on what's going on, why they're cutting food stamps, why they cutting all these other programs, and who's behind it religiously. So this is important for us to be able to screen this video and sponsor it so that we can get that out there to everyone. Because remember, it took people getting beat on videos in the 1960s on the Edmund Pettus Bridge for everybody to understand what was going on and why it was going on. And it might take what's going on in these videos or what happened in Minneapolis and across the United States for people to finally wake up. So, Nancy, could you give an illustration on about the video? And some people in the
Oh, sure.
chat is talking about that, please.
Sure. So the video is about it's a little over, it's about 70 minutes long, or 70, 80 minutes long. We have a license to screen it, and why that's important is that you can rent it, but not all of our folks are going to do that or have the money to do that. So, and because we're a community, we build community by watching it together. So we have a tentative date to screen it online on Saturday, June 27th, and we'll be sending out more information, but you can save that date now. It's in the morning on a Saturday, and we'll give you all the details. And so I think we're moving into the call to action part of this, which you've just kind of heard from everyone who's spoken so far. We have some specifics that we want to share with you because you heard Wanda, you heard Ted talk so much about voting rights and the voting rights that we've lost. And oh, Barbara, you're here. Are you able to talk?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so let me just pause for a minute. So for those of you who don't know Barbara Alvarado, she's our social media lead. She's amazing. If you've seen all her things online, and she just wants to do a quick pitch to y'all before her baby screams any louder.
Yeah, you might hear him. So hello, everybody. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for everyone who shared. It's been super inspiring and yeah, it brings me a lot of hope. So really quickly, I am planning on, I would like to make a couple of videos for socials, one being a video about who the PPC is, and another one is how to get involved with the California PPC. It's still very early on in the making. I'm still kind of thinking about how I'm going to do it, but I may need volunteers to participate in the video. So I just want to plant that seed, more information coming down the line. And I also wanted to ask the group if there's anything on social media that you wish we could share, or something that's missing or you want to see more of. Please feel free to share by emailing the California PPC email, and I'm happy to look at that and see what we can do. And also, please don't forget to share and like our content, because that helps get more eyes on it. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm trying to put the email in the chat. Hold on. Okay. So you just heard everybody talking so much about voting and voting rights. We have an election coming up, a primary soon. So how many people here voted? Put a hand up or a thumbs up, or I mean, these are you folks are our, there we go. That's it. There are, you have some days left, but don't wait till the very, very last minute, because We want to make sure all of our votes are counted. And after that, we're going to move in to the kind of voter outreach, mobilization, and education work that we did in 2024, where we really tried our best to reach out to people that you heard Robert talk about in the beginning, the most impacted, the people who get left out generally. And so we prepared some materials to help you with that and some reminders. And Betty, if you could bring up those slides.
Sorry, give me a minute because I wasn't sure exactly. I was like, what slides? And I'm like, been looking through. I found them.
They're way down there at the bottom.
Okay, 1 second.
For the question of 80 hours for a SNAP, it's 80 hours a month. Yes. And we'll have more information about that coming up soon as well.
Okay.
Okay. So I know you all probably know this, but we're going over it with you so that you can remind others that in order to vote, you first need to be registered to vote. We'll show you in a minute how to figure some of this out. You need to check your voter registration status because we found a lot of people who thought they were registered to vote, turned out not to be. And you need to know the different ways you can cast your ballot. So next slide. If you just can't figure out where to go with your ballot, everybody should have gotten one in the mail. But if you don't know, and you should have gotten information about where drop boxes are, where vote centers are, but if you can't figure it out, you can go to this this site here. Next slide. We have this handy flyer. We sent it out before, and we'll send it out again to you all who are here tonight. And I think we have a link to it, but it'll take me a minute to find it. It's in English and Spanish, but the very coolest thing about this, and I'm sorry Barbara Alvarado isn't here because she designed this flyer, is it has a QR code there in the middle. So rather than having to print out hundreds and hundreds of flyers to give out, you just have to have this one flyer. It goes through the steps. The QR code takes you directly to the Secretary of State site where you can register to vote, check your registration, look for a vote center or drop box right there. And we've tested this. We've been using it at some of our outreach efforts recently. It works really well. People can just look it up right there. They can also just take a photo of the flyer and then use it with other people. So it's a very useful tool, and we would really encourage everyone to, just stick one in your pocket somewhere, anywhere you go, and then you can just tell anybody you run into, are you registered? Did you vote? Here you go. All right, next slide. We also wanted to tell you about a new resource we have. It's in our newsletters as well. Newsletter, for those of you who don't know, our newsletter out every Thursday morning. If you aren't getting it for some reason, please let us know, email us, and we'll figure out how to get you on the list. This is an online document where we're continuing to put up online voting rights and resources. So it has the flyers you just saw. It's got all the information from the Secretary of State. It has our information about you don't need a home to vote, which means that if you are experiencing homelessness or unhoused, you can still vote. Not everyone knows that, and it's right that we have to protect. So we have all of those resources. We want to make sure that you have them all in your hands and are able to use them. We'll be launching a more formal campaign after the Bad Faith video, so you'll be really inspired. And with a whole timeline of activities, but we just want to give you a heads up tonight. Thanks.
Oh, is that me? Am I supposed to say something?
I think this is where you can say something, or I think you can sometimes ask for announcements here.
Yeah, yeah. So is Jeannie here?
Yeah.
I think Jeannie, you want to talk about the block party happening? I guess the block party resource fair.
Oh, yeah. So this Friday, there's the fifth annual resource fair and block party that the Wood Street Commons hosts here in Oakland. And on the recent newsletter, we put information out about that with the flyer and the address and all that. But it's not only a resource fair for the unhoused folks that we're mostly targeting, but it's like we really are trying to create a space where housed and unhoused folks are able to come together and break bread and enjoy and celebrate a little bit. There's not a ton of times throughout the year where we can celebrate. So yeah, this is that moment. Great.
Oh, Robert has his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to report back about Camp Hope. It's an encampment of self-governed encampment in Gilroy of about 20 people. And we are cycling people through there, getting them into housing. And just the last Gilroy City Council meeting, they voted to allow it to remain there as long as there's no problems, and there are none. And we're as somebody gets housed, somebody else moves in. So we limit the number of people that are living there. And it seems to be working. We're getting more and more people housed. I think we've got like 10 people housed right now. So 10 new people moved in to take their place, and we take them through the whole process, getting the VI SPDAT and getting whatever barriers they have had overcome, so they are ready to move into housing. And we hope to keep this running indefinitely, and hopefully other cities will see this as maybe a way to try to deal with the numbers of unhoused people. And I know it's a small number, but that's how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. That's my announcement.
All right. Any other announcements?
Marianne has her hand up.
Marianne?
Oh, that was an accident. I'm good. I would like to congratulate Robert and just he's amazing. The group, the homeless union that he works with and for, and they are amazing. And it's their tenacity working with the city council that has kept this going. And grateful for you, Robert, all of you.
Thank you,
All
Marianne.
right.
I didn't realize my mute was on. Thank you, Marianne.
All right. It's time for me to do the closing part. All right. Cool. So I'm in my I am a member of the Oakland Peace Center. The church that was here is still here because the church was getting smaller and smaller. the congregation decided to create the Oakland Peace Center. The Oakland Peace